Hello guys, welcome to my channel Lucid Fanfic, and if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest videos. So be sure to stick around until the end, and let's get started. Izuku POV. As I said, I wouldn't touch the hero team today and would finish them off tomorrow. However, tomorrow requires a large show. It's time to set all the bombs that I have left across the city so I can set them all off near the end. It will be an explosive ending. I also thought about how the other students were going to react to the hero team losing in the end. Nizu better have this event put down in the UA history books, because a 1 versus 39 match with the sole person winning is an amazing showcase for future classes to learn from. I've slowly placed bombs across the city. I still had the bombs from the first time in the city hall, fire station, hospital, police station, jail, electrical plant, and water plant. However, now I'm placing bombs across the entire city. I guess I should contact Nizu and have him remove all students out of the event so they don't get caught in the destruction. Hello, Nizu. I said. Yes, Izuku, we are here. What do you need? Nizu asked me over the communication device. This communication is heard by the staff room and the dead room. I want you to remove all students besides the hero team at the start of the 5th day, or else they might get literally killed in the destruction I will cause, and we can't have that. I said. I could hear Nizu laugh over the communication line. I'm guessing my theory on what you're going to do for the last day is proving accurate. I can't wait to see the fireworks show. I will have all students alerted to be removed by the start of the 5th day. I will have ectoplasm clones count each student to ensure we have everyone out, and I will confirm this by 10 a.m., and you will be free to act as you want. Nizu said. I just thanked him and got to work. Teacher POV. Everyone was stunned silent besides Nizu laughing. It seems you called it. He's going to blow the entire city up and have the fire spread across the entire place. Samantha said while groaning because it's going to be a lot of work rebuilding everything for next year. Good thing this is only done once a year, and we had 3 of these cities built for each school year. Otherwise, the other class years wouldn't have a turn this year. Powerloader said. All of the teachers just laughed at Cementos and Powerloader since they will have to rebuild the entire place. Dead Room POV. Everyone was confused by the communication they heard between Nizu and Izuku. Anyone have any idea what they were talking about? Asked Kirishima, who was not sitting anywhere near Bakugo currently. I think I have an idea, and God. I'm glad I'm already out of the game if I'm right, said Yaoyorozu. This caused everyone to look at her for an answer. Whatever he's about to do requires all the non-combat students to leave, meaning it's going to be destructive. The fireworks that Nizu talked about I think are bombs. I think Izuku is going to set off a large number of explosive devices around the entire city and burn the entire city to the ground, which means he would kill almost every single robot in there. Meaning as a villain, Spite would have a body count of around 50,000 deaths at his hands in a total of 5 days. Yaoyorozu said. This caused everyone to pale. They knew there were a lot of robots in that city, but for Spite to kill them all off. I'm so glad he became a hero student instead of going down the path of evil, or Japan would be screwed. Ojiro said. Everyone could agree with that, but Bakugo just yelled that he's is better than the shitty Deku. Some of the Class 1B just told him that he got taken out without much of a fight, and even resulted in the loss of one of his team members. They are talking about Jiro's death since he forced Spite to slit her throat, and he could have saved her if he had placed pressure on her wounds and got her back to the base. Hero Team POV. The hero team was enjoying what likely would be their last meal since they didn't think they would survive until the next night and win the game. They all sat down and enjoyed each other's company and were getting ready to face off Spite one last time. Izuku POV. I had finished placing all the bombs. I even placed some around the hero base so I could set it on fire as well. I watched the drones that were falling the last hero team members and saw that they were all enjoying what would be their last meal. I was truly hoping they would still accept me at the end of this. Though I was doubtful as I knew I would likely need to close my heart to the world once again to protect myself. I decided to go to sleep for the night, and so I could have enough energy to be ready for the coming fight. The fight would be one of explosions and destruction, and I needed the energy to deal with the remaining members of the hero team since I wanted them alive for the final show and not dead, since it would be more impactful for the final day. As such, I started to drift off to sleep after I set the drones to alert me if any of the hero team members decided to leave the hero HQ building. Soon the final show shall start, and the game will come to an end, is the thought that went through everyone's mind that night. Izuku POV. It was time to end this game and bring everything to an end. I grabbed my guns and knife and placed my sniper on a roof nearby in the event I needed it. I then started to walk down the street in my villain outfit. I was told by Nizu early this morning that the other students have been all removed from the event site, and only the robots, the hero team, and myself remain within the walls. I just slowly walked down the street, taking my time as I came up towards the hero building. I could see the last heroes standing outside. I moved over into the park, and they just kept their eyes on me. Hello, heroes. Today is the last day of my hunting, and I decided to show you my face, I said as I removed my mask. They just stared at me without saying anything. Now you see my face, and now you have proof it was I the entire time. But the problem is, can you defeat me, or will I slaughter the rest of you heroes claiming this town as mine for good? I said as I put the mask back on. It's time to end this spite, stated Todoroki. Everyone on the hero team agreed with him. It seems you all have some fight left in you. That's good. A hunt is boring if the prey doesn't fight back a little. As such, let us start this fight, I said. I powered OFA up to 35% and slammed my foot on the ground, creating a wall barrier due to the ground spiking up. I then ran into the alley next to me and came around the alley quickly to get to the main street. As I came out, I could see Todoroki using fire on the area I used to be in, but I had already moved to their side. Here I come, heroes, I yelled out. They turned and saw me coming. Azui, Lita, Uraraka, and Kendo all worked together while Todoroki split off a bit since he didn't want to catch anyone in his attacks. Teacher POV. The staff had recovered all the random students that were on the event grounds and were waiting for the final fight to happen. Soon, the staff could see Spite walking down the main road and saw him place a sniper in a hidden area in the event he needed it. Soon Spite arrived at the park in front of the hero agency, and their fighting soon kicked off. The hero team isn't planning for him to come from their side, said Midnight, which she was proven correct when Spite came out of an alley with his speed and got up close to them. They saw most of everyone working together and Todoroki breaking off to a side to attack from a distance so he wouldn't catch anyone in his fire or ice near him. Hero Team POV. The team waited outside for Spite to arrive, and soon he came. We saw him reveal his face and confirmed for us it was Izuku the entire time, which gives us the proof we need to arrest Izuku if we could capture him. Soon the fighting started, and Spite broke the ground. Todoroki sent fire at the area Spite was in, but we were proven wrong when Spite came out of an alley to our side and started to attack us. Izuku POV. I must hand it to you for. You have teamwork down quite well, which results in me putting more effort in. However, I'm only using 20% of my quirk. So let's kick it up to 40%, shall we? I said with a cold tone as I charged up to 40% and started to turn the close combat in my favor. Soon I grabbed Kendo and slammed her into Azui. This caused them both to go flying down the street. I then jumped out of Uraraka's reach and dashed towards Azui and Kendo. I was aiming to capture them all before doing the fireworks show. Todoroki sent a flame at me as I dashed towards Azui and Kendo. I just kicked the ground and created a wall to block the fire. I then used a black whip and grabbed Azui and jumped up to a building where I pinned her down to the ground. I only had a few moments before the others got to me. In those few moments, I tied her hands behind her back and then tossed her at Uraraka, who came floating up, causing them both to fly down towards the ground. Uraraka started to untie Azui, but I kicked part of the building roof off and sent it flying at them, which forced her to pull them both out of the path. I then dashed up to her and grabbed one hand and twisted it behind her back and kicked a leg out from under her. I then placed one leg onto Azui to keep her down on the ground. I used my other hand to pull my knife out and put it to Uraraka's throat. Stop, or I kill them both, I said to the other 3 members of the hero team, who froze at the sight. Let them go, villain, Lita yelled. I could tell he was worried about what I would do next. Todoroki looked like he wanted to take action, while Kendo looked stressed. Todoroki, you better not pull a stunt. Don't want to be like Bakugo, who got one of his teammates killed a few days ago. I did have Jiro in a hold like this before, and he decided to try and attack, which made me cut Jiro's throat. He could have saved her as well, but he never put pressure on the wound, which caused her to bleed to death. Also, you can't use your ice because Azui is here. You would cause permanent damage to her body, or even kill her for real, if she isn't warmed up in the time she would require. Though I would prevent that by attacking you, which means you would kill your teammate. I said as I looked at everyone. They were shocked because I was right. I had them in a no-win situation. If they attacked, Uraraka dies, and likely Azui as well. If they don't, they also lose their teammates. Let's make a deal. I want you to tie each other hands and feet up, and the last person will be tied by Uraraka here, then I will tie her up. If you refuse, I kill them. I need an audience, you see, for my last act, and you five will do perfectly for that. I said, after your last act, as you say, will you let us go alive and turn yourself in? Asked Kendo. I looked at her and then agreed with it. Though I no way going to actually do that. I thought. Teacher POV. The teachers just watched the fight go on. Then they heard something from Spite during the fight. I must hand it to you for. You have teamwork down quite well, which results in me putting more effort in. However, I'm only using 20% of my quirk. So let's kick it up to 40%, shall we? Spite said. They are still amazed that Spite has so much power under his control now. Then they saw Spite defeat Azui and use her as a weapon. Dang, Spite sure knows how to use his hostages or defeated opponents as weapons against others, Mike said. The staff agreed and thought it was an effective method since it forces the other heroes to be careful of their teammates. Soon the fight came to a standstill with Spite holding Azui pinned to the ground and Uraraka being held at knife point. Spite has forced the heroes into a no-win situation again. Think this team will make the same mistake at trusting his word as the previous team did? Ectoplasm asked. I think they will. It's a hard reality that most heroes will have to deal with. Most villains that are more powerful won't care to kill the enemy off or keep their word. This is because their power sets the law for their area of control. Any hero left alive is a threat in the future because they can learn to be better in the future when they attempt again. All Might said. The other teachers just looked on in silence at the video and waited for the next action to happen. Izuku POV. I can't believe they really surrounded again. Did the other heroes owe their team not warn about me doing this last time where I killed the heroes and the hostages? Thank you for cooperating with me, heroes. I promise this will be fun to watch. Well, at least for me, but for you all. Well, this will be a lesson on what happens when you give up. I said. They were confused until I pulled a switch out and hit it. Boom, the area near us started to shake. Everyone on the hero team looked in fear as I had just blown up their entire hero base. Yes, I had enough booms in the base to wipe you all out in one go. Funny, isn't it? I decided to draw this out for days just because I could. I said with a cold tone. They just had their mouths open in shock. Now it's time to learn the lesson on why heroes shouldn't surrender to the villain even if their teammate is captured. If you heroes give up, then who saves the civilians from the villains? I asked. What are you talking about? Asked Kendo in a shaky voice. I mean this. Clicks button, I said. Then the entire city went up in flames as explosions went off across the entire city. The shaking just kept going on for several minutes. The heroes were shaking. If the hero gives up, then everyone dies. Even if your teammate is lost, if all the heroes just give up, then who would stop the villain the next day? I asked them. This stunned them into silence. I then pulled my gun out and walked in front of Todoroki and shot him in the chest. You said you would let us go and turn yourself in, shouted Lita. Never trust the word of a villain who is more powerful than you. They don't need to keep their word since their power is law in the world. I said as I looked at Lita and shot him in the chest. I then repeated for each person. Kendo, then Azui, and lastly Uraraka. Soon Nizu's voice came over the city and announced the end of the event. Villains win. The heroes have been wiped out, and the city turned to ruins. All 50,000 civilians were slaughtered in the fire and explosions. The villain known as Spite has escaped to a new city. This repeated several times as ectoplasm clones arrived to escort us all out of the area. The moment we arrived out of the city, one of the clones told me where All Might was at, and I powered OFA up and sprinted away as I heard the last members of the hero team call out for me. Teacher POV. The teachers just watched the final moments of the 5th day. Spite had gotten the hero team to give themselves up because he was threatening their teammates' lives. Looks like it's over. I will send my clones to stand nearby them and wait for the end of the game. Ectoplasm stated. Soon, they heard Spite talk to the hero team and gave his lessons, which are to never give up nor surrender to the villain. Because if the hero gives up, who saves the civilians? The teachers watched as the hero agency went up in flames, and the hero team just got scared because they could have been in there. Then, spite blew the entire city up. Nizu just started to laugh like crazy at the scene before him. Oh god, yes. This is going down in the history books of UA, and will be used in lessons for the future classes on what not to do against a villain and how to be better heroes. Nizu said while drinking his tea and laughing like crazy still. Dead Team POV. The students in the room just watched in fear as they saw Spite force the last members to give up and surrender to them. The previous team that he did this to was yelling out and asking why they didn't listen because Spite wouldn't keep his word. Soon, everyone watched as the hero building went up in flames. Then the entire city followed with Spite killing each of the remaining heroes. Almost everyone was thinking one thing: brutal. Then they heard the game over announcement, and the doors opened with an ectoplasm clone telling them they could exit now and meet with the remaining hero team members. Also, we will be having a meeting in the assembly hall in a bit, so start heading there after you all meet up with the last of the hero team. Ectoplasm stated. A lot of the students asked about Izuku, which was met with a strained expression from the teacher. He will be meeting with the teachers first. They want to make sure he is in a good mindset because we know this was very hard on him since he went against everything in his body and played the villain role the best we could ever ask for. So let the staff handle Izuku for a while, and you will see him in the assembly room. We will have a lot to tell all about, the teacher said as they walked away. Izuku POV. After Ectoplasm told me where I could find All Might, I just powered OFA up to 50% and dashed off. I wanted to be next to All Might no matter what since I felt my mind crumbling. Soon I came upon the staff room and bolted in and saw All Might sitting on the couch. I just ignored everyone else and found myself pulling myself very close to All Might. I started to cry and whisper, "I'm a monster, All Might." Though I could feel that everyone in the room heard me due to it being silent when I said it. All Might POV. Ectoplasm had warned me that he told Izuku I was in the staff room with the rest of the staff. So I wasn't surprised that Izuku showed up. What surprised me and the staff was when Izuku bolted onto the couch and got super close with me and started to break down while calling himself a monster. The entire staff room went silent. My boy, you are not a monster. You performed well, and you showed the other students many lessons that they needed to learn. Remember what I said. I will always be by your side no matter what. Even if we have to leave UA and find you a new school. I told him. The rest of the staff just started to join in after I said that, and it helped calm Izuku down. Nizu came over to Izuku and put his paw on his leg. Izuku, can you please look at me? Nizu asked. Izuku looked up at Nizu. No matter what, if you receive any backlash, I want you to tell me so we can deal with it. You did what I wanted you to do in this exam, and if they got a problem with it, then they can shove it. If it comes down to finding you a new school, both myself and All Might will ensure you will have the best resources and find a better school to attend where you will be welcomed. Do you understand me? Nizu asked Izuku. Izuku said he understood. We have the meeting in the assembly we are all going to. I want you sitting up by me. I don't care if everyone finds out about you being my protege anymore. It's been clear really that I've always favored you anyway, so it doesn't matter if it gets out that you are my personal student anyway. I'm sure none of the staff will be opposed to you sitting with us. Yes. I asked the rest of the staff, and Nizu agreed with me. The staff was not going to let Izuku's mental state fall. We already know he's going to have a large number of mental problems we will find from his past, but depending on how these students react, there will be some problems from them as well. Third POV. Soon everyone was in the assembly hall except the teachers and Izuku. Some of them were wondering where he was when Bakugo made a comment. He's probably afraid for all the villain shit he did. He's better off leaving UA and becoming a villain than staying here. This comment that Bakugo made had set everyone off. Oh hell no. You don't get to talk shit. If anyone is a villain, it would be you if that video holds any truth whatsoever. Also, everything that Izuku did in the event was his role to play because of the team he was on by himself. We all choose to go on the hero team and still lost because Izuku was willing to put the effort in that his role required, unlike we did. We got complacent and it cost us the match. Yelled Uraraka, which was agreed by almost everyone in the room. Some tried to calm people down and said that they didn't know if the video was true or not. That is when they heard. The video is true, by the way. Everything he did and what All Might said happened. A voice said. Everyone turned around and saw Izuku sitting on the stage next to All Might, who was hugging Izuku. The rest of the staff was also on the stage with Nizu sitting next to Izuku's other side. Everyone was silent at this. Indeed, and Bakugo, don't think you're walking away from not receiving punishment for what you've done. You got about 10 years worth of illegal quirk usage and other crimes that will need to be dealt with. Your old schools will also be looked into since they didn't mark anything on their records about your behavior. If they had, you would never have set foot in this school, or likely any other hero school either. Nizu said, "What? I was just putting the damn quirkless DKU in his place. It was my right to do that to the quirkless freak," yelled Bakugo. Everyone who attempted to defend Bakugo went silent at this. Then everyone was shocked. "Ooh, so I'm a freak, Bakugo?" All Might asked. Everyone was confused and Bakugo didn't understand. "You said quirkless people are freak. Fun fact, I was quirkless as well. I'm a strange case like Izuku. It's one of the reasons I'm so close to him. I myself didn't receive my quirk into my teens. I got my quirk about 1 to 2 years before Izuku's age. That is why I am so close to him and noticed the signs of him being a late bloomer when I trained him, since it was the same things I went through. So, Bakugo, I'm a freak, right?" All Might asked in a pissed-off tone. "Well, that explains why you always favored Izuku and took him on as your protege," Eraserhead said, which sent another round of shocks through every student. "What?" Every single student screamed, even Bakugo yelled about it. "Really, Eraserhead? I thought we would leave that fact alone unless they asked," All Might said. Eraserhead just shrugged his shoulders at All Might. "No, Todoroki, All Might isn't my biological father, but I have called him Dad, and he's accepted that title from me." Izuku groaned out at the look in Todoroki's eye. "It still proves my Dad Might theory," yelled out Todoroki. Everyone was just confused, but Izuku just moved everyone along. "Anyway, let's review the event, shall we?" Nizu said with a cheerful tone. Everyone settled back down and started to watch the last week's worth of video go by. Ask Nizu pulled up highlights. "So, I take it no one noticed the drones following you all around during the event and the week of training and planning you were all meant to do?" Nizu asked and got confused looks. "They didn't, or else I would have had to change my plans. May should really get a lot of extra credit for those drones. They really are good that no one noticed them at all," Izuku said. Everyone was asking about what drones when Izuku pulled a phone out and made the drones fly down in front of everyone. "These drones that I've used to spy on all of you for the past 2 weeks since the game officially started the first day of training, which allowed me to spy on you with the drones nearly 24/7 when they could follow you. I didn't have them follow you into your private rooms, by the way. Anywhere outside that was public area is where the drones followed you," Izuku said. Soon they moved on after everyone calmed down. The teachers ripped into the hero team for not planning or doing teamwork training. The staff went really hard on Bakugo for his lack of leadership, which made Bakugo look pissed, but also a bit ashamed since it was his job to lead the hero team and he failed. They talked about the first 3 kills and how Izuku didn't leave them much choice but to get close and had planned his ambush really well by playing against the hero's strengths. The teachers did talk about how they needed to look for traps when they find a hero left alive after a villain, because it could be a trap like it was. Izuku used it as a physiological torture method to remove their will to fight in the long run. They did say there wasn't much they could do about the taxi, but they should be careful when something weird happens and keep their distance unless they have no choice. Then they arrived on the second day when Izuku blew up several buildings. Never hand yourself over to the villain, even at the threat of civilian life. You can't save everyone, Vlad King yelled out. The students from that day looked down in shame. A villain that is more powerful won't care about his word because his power is the law for anything that he controls, Izuku said, which shocked everyone that he was talking to them. Then they arrived at the battle against the Ojiro team. Sorry for dragging you, Ojiro, Izuku said, and Ojiro said it was fine. It taught him a lesson. The teachers talked again about looking for traps, and if the hero team had taken the time, they might have seen the trap. Ojiro might have been still lost, but the other hero wouldn't have been. Next up of the second day was the problem with Jiro's death. Bakugo, you let your teammate die? We didn't call Jiro out because if you had put pressure on the wound, she would have lived, because Recovery Girl watched the video, and the slice across the neck was too light for Izuku. Meaning you let her die because you were to focus on the villain and those in present danger in front of you. Eraserhead cut in with a cold tone. Bakugo lowered his head in shame and said he understood. The bombing of the building was fun to see everyone's faces. In reality, It would be less effective since you all would have better access to money to go buy supplies and stuff, but it worked here. Izuku said, while looking more forward instead of into All Might now. Soon they moved to the third day where Izuku had started to use the sniper. That is also another problem. There was no backup leadership created in the event of your death, Bakugo. You should have prepared that. Niza pointed out. Then the teachers started to pick apart of Slaughter Fight, where Izuku had taken a lot of people on in a fight and could have killed more people if he didn't plan to leave them alive. You all failed to plan out attacks and work on teamwork in the training week. This leads to you all randomly charging and not combing your strengths to lock Izuku down. Midnight pointed out. You all also didn't know Izuku's upper limit, which he kept hidden from even the staff. Well, expect Nizu and All Might. No one knew that All Might and Nizu had been limiting the percent that Izuku is allowed to use in training. Vlad King stated. Nizu explained to the people that looked annoyed at that. It's due to the fact that if Izuku hit any of you with a full 50%, he could really kill any of you if it lands straight on. We've decided to start letting Izuku use more of his quirk in training moving forward, since he has shown that he can handle changing his quirk power when he lands his punches to ensure no deaths. Niza said. Now they moved to the third night where Izuku invaded the hero HQ. You all should have had patrols going through the entire building since you knew that Izuku had already planted bombs in the building once already. Powerloader said. Everyone could only agree with this since it leads to a lot of their deaths that night. Soon they arrived on the fourth day. They talked about how Izuku drew the heroes out and made them waste their energy before attacking at long range and then moving towards them. Todoroki, you could have used your eyes to cover you guys to escape. It would have made it harder for me to get close and know you were all still there. Izuku said. This was a valid point. It would likely have saved two of their team members also if he had put ice up to block people from coming towards them from any sides and made an exit and lead everyone away. The students then asked Izuku if that was his real feelings on his safety and him being accepted here at UA, based on his speech on that day. Yes, to a degree. I've had to deal with Bakugo pulling all the things he has done, and the teachers never really did anything about it. He uses his quirk in class a lot, which is how he would bully me in our old schools. As such, it's become a fear response to him using his quirk. Then no one joined the villain team, even though they could have. It was heartbreaking when all my friends didn't at least join me. Though I am used to being isolated. The world sees quirkless people as something to kill for the most part, and people would beat me or put me down any chance they had even though I was still human. Izuku said. Everyone besides Bakugo apologized to Izuku, which made him happy that they still wanted to be friends with him after everything. The teachers talked about all the bombs that Izuku had planted without being spotted, which was a very big feat. Then we made it to the last day, the final fight. The teachers talked again about how the last members didn't heed the warning from their former teammates that had already died. Never give yourself up to the villains. We are seeing an increase in villains that will act just like how Izuku did during this event. If they have the power, they won't care about keeping their word and will kill anyone that opposes them. These villains are the type that older heroes fought before I came around. These villains are far more ruthless and brutal in their methods. That is why Izuku did everything he did, because these are the villains you will be fighting moving forward in the future. All Might said. This made some of the students worried, but only made them steal their dedication, since they have gotten a taste of it via Izuku. Now we are here at the end. I'm going, to be honest. How many of you can go back to normal with Izuku? It's a concern of UA's staff that you all might outcast Izuku moving forward, and we need you to be honest, so if that happens we can find Izuku a new school where he can be accepted at. Niza said. This statement shocked everyone in the assembly hall, even Bakugo. Sir, I can't say it will be. Normal Peresi. We all now know the undeniable truth that Izuku can be very deadly under that smile of his. But I can say at least for me that I still consider him a friend and want him to stay. Though I'm going to be far warier of him in training moving forward now. Lita said as he stood up. Soon everyone but Bakugo stood up and agreed with that statement. Nizu and the staff were proud of them. They did notice Bakugo didn't stand up though. Good. By the way, Kurarishima, you and Izuku will change desks from now on so Izuku isn't near Bakugo anymore. Bakugo, we will be talking about your past actions, but know from this point forward, if we allow you to stay you will be on thin ice. Do I make myself clear? Bakugo agreed with it, but knew he would have a lot of punishment coming his way. All Might, I won't talk about what you did in the video since you and Izuku have already settled that matter, but don't pull something like that again. We are lucky you found him the second time, or spite might have become reality. Nizu said in a cold tone, which made everyone flinch since he didn't have his famous smile anymore. Time skip. The next semester came, and the winter break passed. Bakugo had a lot of punishments placed on him. He couldn't use his quirk anymore, since he had quirk bracelets on him at all times that could only be taken off by a teacher. Bakugo recorded would show his past actions and would be public knowledge if someone requested his hero recorded. Bakugo had to attend anger management and therapy for the rest of his time at UA. Everyone else supported Izuku and helped him heal from his past. The Baku squad was hanged out less around Bakugo, but still did here and there. It became less of a tight-knit group until Bakugo could prove himself to them that he has changed. About 2 months into the new semester, Bakugo had approached Izuku and told him that he wasn't ready to provide an apology, but one day would get there. Izuku simply responded by saying, "I'll always wait for you to return, Kaken," and then turned and left, which left Bakugo in shock at hearing his childhood nickname again, since Izuku had stopped since the event had started. Soon everything would improve for the better as time passed, and the now 2A and 2B students got prepared for their future. So, this was the end of this series. Stay tuned for next part of this series, and if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.